Rising came out, and I made a little variation, well, a pretty big variation, but Dimir Rogues was a pretty popular deck. I think it kind of fell a little flat. It's not as powerful as everybody thought it would be, but it's a fun deck to play. But what I noticed is that the game was pretty much decided by the 1 and 2 drops. If you got the right curve on the 1 and 2 drops, that was probably game. And although Nighthawk Scavenger, Brazen Borrower, and Zareth San are very good cards and are great ways to end the game, and I think take the deck over the top. And I make, rather than making it like a tier B deck, I think it makes it somewhat tier A, and then tier S, obviously, just being Omnath Ramp right now. But it's a fantastic deck, but I think it just didn't perform as well as everybody thought it was going to. And obviously in a meta with cards like Uro and a lot of escape, milling isn't exactly probably the best strategy to be utilizing. That being said, I took out the meat by adding Lurrus as a companion. So the Lurrus companion rule is each permanent card in your starting deck is converted mana cost 2 or less. So like your spells can be higher than 2 mana cost, but all your permanents, so like your creatures, enchantments, and all that has to be converted mana cost 2 or lower. So I have the basic shell. I have things like Thieves Guild Enforcer, Soaring Thought Thief, and Merfolk Windrobber to round out my low end, these guys are the bread and butter of the deck. And ideally your turn 1 is you put down a Thieves Guild Enforcer, and turn 2 you put down a Soaring Thought Thief, and you just go from there. But really what this deck tries to do is use aggression and recursion to grind out your opponent. And then some well-timed counter spells to prevent anything that you might not be able to deal with. So Lurrus obviously is one piece of the recursion problem. You're going to be losing a lot of these guys probably in the first few turns. You're going to put these guys down, they're going to get removed. So one way you can get them back is Lurrus. Obviously it's pretty expensive. It costs 3 mana to get them in your hand, and then 3 mana to get them on the board, and then you have to pay 1 to 2 mana to get them from the graveyard onto the battlefield. It's pretty expensive. So he's really your last resort, but really what you're going to be using is Call of the Death Dweller, or Call of the Death Dweller. You're going to be using this card. Is that Nethroi in the background? I think I just noticed that. Anyway, you're going to be using this card to get back your big players, your Thieves Guild Enforcer, your your Thieves Guild Enforcer, your Soaring Thought Thieves, your Merfolk Windrobbers. This is going to be kind of the recursion. This is kind of the gameplay loop that you're looking for, is getting these things down, letting them get removed, and using either Call of the Death Dweller or the flip side of Academ's Awakening. So Academ's Awakening is a flip land. Well, it's not a flip land, I'm sorry. It's a modal dual-faced card, where one mode is you pay 3 life, it's a pain land, you pay 3 life for a black mana that will enter the battlefield untapped. Or it can enter the battlefield tapped if you don't pay 3 life. And then the flip side of it is for 3 black mana and X colorless mana, you can return from your graveyard to the battlefield any number of target creature cards that have a converted total mana cost X or less. So if you pay 5, you can get pretty much exactly what it's just a more expensive Call of the Death Dweller. It's a 5 mana Call of the Death Dweller, where Call of the Death Dweller is obviously 3 mana. So Call of the Death Dweller is your real, this is what you really want to use to get stuff back from the graveyard. If not that, Lurrus is your backup, and then if not that, then I guess Academ's Awakening. It's really interchangeable what you want to use, either Lurrus or Academ's Awakening. But throughout the game you have to make a lot of choices. Do you leave mana up for counter spells? Do you leave mana up to destroy target creatures at instant speed? And also, when do you play Thieves Guild Enforcer at flash speed? There are times where I feel like it's not the right move to play her at flash speed. It's probably the better play to play her at sorcery speed. But it's all kind of just decisions. There are situations where sometimes you maybe want to put her down at sorcery speed, but I guess most of the time flash speed or instant speed is better. But to round out the deck, I put in 4 copies of Ghostly Pilferer, which I think is an extremely underutilized card. So he's a 2 mana 2/1 Spirit Rogue. Whenever he becomes untapped, you may too if you do draw a card. Probably not going to be using that much because mana, that is expensive to draw a card, and you really need to be using mana for other things. And then whenever an opponent casts a spell from anywhere other than their hand, draw a card. That is actually a very great ability. So think adventures, think Uro, so like all escape cards, all adventure cards, anytime they're played, once the adventure cards are played from exile, you get to draw a card basically. So Bone Crusher Giants that have been removing all your threats, as soon as they're played onto the battlefield, you get to draw a card. So that's pretty awesome. And then you can discard a card, and Ghostly Pilfer can't be blocked this turn, which is actually pretty interesting. I've had situations where I get him up to a 4-1 with Soaring Thought Thieves and stuff like that. And a 4-1 unblockable is nothing to laugh at. He's kind of a must remove in some situations. Which, if your opponent must remove this 2 mana 2/1, that's kind of a good deal, forcing them to use a lot of removal, like Murderous Rider and Bloodchief's Thirst, Bone Crusher Giant, forcing them to use those kind of resources to get rid of a Ghostly Pilfer, which I think everybody thinks was not that great of a card, but I really am enjoying it. But yeah, I really like Ghostly Pilfer. I think he slotted into this deck perfectly. I also don't know why he isn't utilized in the Zereth Sand version of Dimir Rogues, because you can make him unblockable. So like if you want to force a Zereth Sand trigger, you can just make him unblockable by just discarding a card, which, discarding a land with this deck is not that really big a deal. And then we have 2 copies of Zulaport Duelist. Not the best card. You could probably cut this and maybe make room for more like interaction, maybe more removal or something. I just wanted more rogue. I have 2 copies of Vantress Gargoyle. You could probably cut this out entirely, but it's just a great card to help finish games. It's like that late game oomph that you lose with Nighthawk Scavenger and with Brazen Borrower, Zereth Sand. Zulaport Duelist, you could probably cut and find other things to tune this deck more, but I just like the 1 mana rogue that you can recur and that can trigger a Thieves Guild Enforcer. And then obviously we have 4 Drown in the Loch, 4 Lofty Denial, and yeah, that's about it. And then as far as lands, we have 21. Technically we actually have 21, 22, 23, 24 with Academ's Awakening, because these can come in untapped, but obviously don't have to necessarily think about it like that. I mean, I think 24 lands is great, but you can also save some of the Academ's Awakening for later if you need to get things back from the graveyard. So not in every case will you have one of these in your hand and you'll want to play it as a land. So and then basically it's just 7 islands, 7 swamps for the Clearwater Pathway, which can be played as either a swamp or either you can tap it for black or tap it for blue mana, and then we have 3 Fabled Passages. I avoided temples altogether, and I really wanted to cut down on the amount of Fabled Passages because tapped lands in this deck feels absolutely terrible. You really don't want tapped lands in this deck at all. So yeah, that's it. That is the deck in a nutshell. I really, really enjoy playing with this deck. I think, let me look, my win rate in the play queue is 61%, which is not bad. I think I've played this in ranked, and I think my win rate in ranked with this deck was 44%, which is bad, but it'll get you a 44% win rate, and I was already playing it in platinum, so you gotta imagine in silver and gold, it'll probably be closer to 50%, and that's what you need to get to platinum. Mind you, I've only played probably 4 or 5 games with it, so 44% is not a great, 4 games is not a great sample size to get a 44%. I don't know the exact math, and it was in the mid-40s, and it was 4 or 5 games, so I can't remember exactly, and I don't know if that works out to getting a 44% rate, but you get my point. I've only played a handful of games, so 44% win rate in ranked is, that's kind of negligible. You need to play a lot more games to really get an idea of how well a deck is performing, but I think 61% out of, how many games was that? Let's see. You probably can't see what I'm doing here. It's not showing up on the, on my recorder, but I can see on my screen. So Lurrus Rogue Standard, I have 27 wins and 17 losses in the play queue, so that's not bad. That's that's a hefty. That's 40. That's it's 50 games. So 50 games I think is a decent sample size, and to get a 61% win rate is not bad. But yeah, so that's the deck. And yeah, without further ado, let's get into some matches. Okay, so this hand is not great. We're gonna mulligan it. We really need something better. Okay, this is much better. We'll keep 6 here. What do we get rid of? Might be the land, to be honest. Yeah, I think we get rid of the land here. Player Merfolk Windropper, and then I think Soaring Thought Thief is probably our best bet for turn 2. We can go Ghostly Pilferer from there. We have a Call of the Death Dweller lined up. Okay, so we're playing Mutate, which I like our odds against Mutate. I just saw a Gargaroth, which could be a problem. A 2/2 flyer. Not a problem. And then next turn, I'm more than happy to get rid of a Zulaport Duelist with my Ghostly Pilferer to make him unblockable. Let's see what Mutate has in store for us. Actually, let's see here. Let's just go all in, and we can use the Zulaport Duelist as kind of a combat trick. Okay. So I guess we'll just put -2 on him. We'll just buy Lurrus. And then I think probably our next turn, I mean, we can sacrifice Merfolk Windrobber here and then use Call of the Death Dweller to get both of them back. A Thieves Guild Enforcer would be prime. Oh, my bad. I was looking at my phone. mana for the Lofty Denial. Death Touch. I think we put both of them on the Soaring Thought Thief. Save our Soaring Thought Thief there. Might have actually wanted to save that for something better, but I don't know that he has something better. Can't block him. Might as well get the card. Another Fable to Passage off the top is fine. So like Simic aggro, I guess, is what we're playing. Okay. I wouldn't attack if I were him. I can double block. Thought Thief. Draw the card. I mean, yeah, that's game. I was gonna play it all out, but sweet win. Okay, so that was a very, very good first game. Our next opponent is Jank Daddy, which I'm sorry, but if you're running Jank, okay. So we only have one land type here. We could get mana screwed. So we'll mulligan. This is much better. It's a lot slower though. I don't think we need two Ghostly Pilferers. And a Thieves Guild Enforcer off the top would be the nuts. Stonecoil Serpent, so maybe mono green aggro. I don't think we need to spend a Blood Chief's Thirst on a Stonecoil Serpent. Wildborn Preserver, that's fine. Aggro matchups can be a little bit, can be kind of rough. Throw on the Ghostly Pilferer down to see if they want to remove it. If they do, that's fine. I'd rather have the Ghostly Pilferer in the graveyard than my Soaring Thought Thieves. So what do I not care about? Ooze is 3. So that can grow, so we'll get rid of that. Get rid of our other Ghostly Pilferer, maybe. Or maybe do we get rid of a Soaring Thought Thief? Yeah, we'll just get rid of a Ghostly Pilferer. I guess we hold up mana, either counter something that we can't deal with, or get rid of the Oran Reef Ooze. Be my best, the best bet. And Jank Daddy, this isn't a very jank deck. This just looks like standard mono green counters. I guess we actually can't counter much, so we have to use it to destroy Ooze. Or no, we can't even use it to destroy Ooze. We haven't gotten them to mill at all, which is a problem. We can kill the... Okay. We can kill that 4/4 Serpent. Oh, no blocks, I suppose. We don't want to do that. Okay, so that's good. Get rid of that Serpent. How many cards does he have in the graveyard? 4. That sucks. Wow. Okay. What's better here? I mean, I guess. Then we can block with the Pilfer on the Stone Coil, I guess. We gotta hope for like a Call the Death Dweller off the top or something. Great Henge, okay. That sucks. That sucks. What are you gonna do? Our next opponent has a ridiculous name, MadHat6610F, free to play 1. Okay. Does the 1 imply that he has multiple free to play accounts? Okay, this is a pretty gas hand. We can Mark Water Pathway, Thieves Guild Enforcer, then Merfolk, Wind Robber, or Soaring Thought Thief is probably the better second play, but if we ever get to play this guy's taking his dandy time. Oh man. We're just gonna play this at instant speed, fuck it. Might as well fill up the graveyard. Just see if he has removal if he wants to get rid of it immediately. Not the best idea to do that, I'm just very lazy. Should really do everything at instant speed. If you can. Okay. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6, what is it, 8? Oh, I guess I should have attacked. They're not going to trade their Cobra. That was dumb. I really should have attacked. This is ridiculous. It's Should have played it blue. I should have played this as blue. Okay. So it looks like he's going for Uro. Yeah. We can't counter it. But we can kill it now. It's probably not the right move, I don't know. Basically just charging up his Uro, which sucks, but maybe I should have let the Thieves Guild Enforcer go to get it back with a Call to Death Dweller, but I mean, if he just wants to spend his turn pulling Uro out, I mean, I guess I'm fine with that. A Cling to Dust is probably what I want to take care of Uro and stuff like that. We haven't gotten a single Omnath, I don't think. What is this kid doing? Okay. No removal kind of hurts. Omnath off the top feels good. I think I'm gonna go fetch a blue, pretend I have counter magic. But this game's probably over. These decks just produce so much value, it's insane. Oh, and I couldn't even sacrifice it. Oh, this is so lame. I'm actually okay with that. things. Could be worse. You can go for an attack here. I can let something die and then bring it back. We might be able to mill them out. Actually, do we let the Zulaport Duelist die instead? Do we let it sacrifice him to the Uro attack? Okay. Ghostly Pilfer would have been nice to get all these draw triggers, but I mean, this is pretty bad for ASMR just because, like, literally, what do I talk about during his turn? How much more value he's generating? Like, this is the meta in a nutshell, and it's really frustrating. It's really boring. Like, he has spent so much time on his turn. Oh my god. He's not hitting his Omnaths, though. This is just... I should go make a fucking sandwich. And I mean, like, his health just never goes down. It's ridiculous. Like, I could have all the explosive turns in the world, and he would just, like, Uro 6 times and, like, Omnath 4 times. Just, like, this is ridiculous. Like, what is going on? You can crack that passage, oh my god. Just have to wait forever to play the game. This sucks. Oh my goodness, okay. So, I don't know what he's up to, but he's not making white, which makes me think he doesn't have... Okay, so he's 2 12-12s. Oh my god. How many cards does he have in his fucking deck? 12 left. Maybe we can mill him out. Be difficult. So maybe I do. Maybe if the idea is I mill him out, then do I want Thieves Guild Enforcer to kill Uro so that he keeps bringing Uro back to draw cards? That might be the game plan. I mean, just look at this. How is this fun for anyone? I mean, is he having fun doing this? Probably. Oh my god. Yeah, I think our only way is to mill him out. He has 10 cards left. Alright, so let's see here. I think we get the Merfolk Windrobber back. Oh, we can't even play Lurrus. And we just gotta play defense. He's got 4 cards left. I think he's gonna mill himself out. Three cards. If we like, oh man. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13, 14. He has 14 damage on the board. That I can't block. Like, I can block the 2 Beanstalk Giants and Uro, and then all the 2/2s get in from there. And then we could beat him if we'd use the Call the Death Dweller. Son of a bitch. 2 cards left. I think that's it with the Terror of the Peaks on the board. If he puts anything on the board, he can just either throw it at my face or destroy my board and then attack with it, and I have no blockers. That's it. Okay. Our next opponent is Lucian. Man. So you guys just saw an example of how brutal and oppressive the Omnath decks are. There was just nothing I could do that entire game. Like if I held up counter magic or anything, the Lotus Cobra is just like a must remove. You know, like if you have to use removal on a 2/1, like a 2-mana 2/1, this is ridiculous. See, like, unbelievable. At least it's mono green, I guess. Get the black down, and then hopefully he doesn't have an explosive turn here. Questing Beast. Of fucking course it's Questing Beast. We'll get it next turn, though. Okay. Goodbye, Gargaroth. Goodbye, Questing Beast. That's game. Okay, so aggressive decks or mid-range decks. That was more of a mid-range deck, I would say. A Lotus Cobra into a Questing Beast and then a Gargaroth, like, yeah. After that Omnath game, I'm kind of burnt out. I really don't want to play, so I'm not going to. But yeah, like, that's the deck in a nutshell. Just kind of using aggression and well-timed tempo and recursion to just kind of grind out your opponent. Of course, when you're up against an Omnath and an Uro and like all that, there's no such thing as grinding your opponent out. It's just slowly and painfully suffering and watching them have huge value turn after value turn, and you just sit there doing absolutely nothing for minutes on end. Like, I think that was like a 15-minute game or something, and like 90% of it was all on his turn, just like waiting for him to, like, a situation like that, like he was down to 2 cards left in his library. Like, I guess the only way that I would win that is if I had something to mill him more than I already was, you know. I don't know, but I'm hoping that the bannings that they're announcing on Monday, I hope it's like Omnath and maybe Uro. That'd be pretty dope. If you throw Ugin in there, and like, I'd be a happy camper. If all 3 of those cards got the boot, those are just complete shutdown cards that just, there's no coming back from. I mean, Ugin, maybe less so. You can counter an Ugin, you can kill an Ugin. But the value from Uro and the value you get, I mean, Omnath is just like it's a Fires of Invention that can attack, block, that can, like, that draws you a card. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, can you imagine using Fires of Invention and Omnath? Like, you can, like, double Omnath in one turn. Well, I guess that really wouldn't make sense because Omnath creates mana and you wouldn't be able to use that. Or would you be able to use that mana with Fires of Invention? No, that's an interesting thought. Because I know you can only cast 2 spells per turn. But can you use that mana? I mean, I guess to activate abilities. So maybe that isn't the best combination, but regardless, can you imagine replacing Fires of Invention with Omnath? Like, the kind of shit you'd be able to do. Oh my god. Use that mana to pump like a Cavalier, like a million times. And, like, I don't know, any number of things. Like, there's so much more that you could do. I mean, with Kenrith and stuff. Like, just replace Fires of Invention with Omnath and think of what that deck could have been capable of. Their turns could have been that much more disgusting. Whatever. It is what it is. But yeah, that's the deck in a nutshell. I think you saw 2 good wins and 1 terrible loss, but I've beaten Omnath ramp before, but they just, I think I probably made a lot of mistakes in like the first 2 turns. You have to play perfectly, otherwise they win. And if you can't, you just gotta sit there and watch them win. And I really wanted to give it to him, but the Terror of the Peaks was kind of what did it. If he didn't have the Terror of the Peaks, I was gonna hang in there to see if I could win. But once he threw that down, and the Beanstalk Giant, it would have been hilarious if he used the Beanstalk Giant not on my face, and like threw it at my board. I would have laughed so hard. But yeah, that's the deck. I really like it. It is very fun. The regular Dimir Rogue shell, this version, is probably just straight up better. It is just straight up better than what I'm running with Lurrus, but I like using a companion and trying to follow the companion rules and stuff and making a viable deck. The Lurrus one I think is more fun because of its restrictions, and also I just love Ghostly Pilferer. I think Ghostly Pilferer is like such a cool and underrated card. So yeah, Ghostly Pilferer is pretty dope. And I like the deck a lot. And you should play it. I wouldn't craft any cards for this, but if you have them, might as well just make it and run it and see if you like it. But overall, if you're trying to like climb the ladder, this Dimir Rogue's build is probably better. But even then, I don't know. I mean, you could probably make it into Mythic with this, but I don't think that. I mean, obviously, if you want to do it faster, just play Omnath. Omnath probably probably has a ridiculous win percentage, no matter what skill level you are. So yeah, that's the deck. I hope you enjoyed, and yeah, we'll catch you in the next one.